Last year, when my mother and I went to Disney World, we stayed to see the Electric Light Parade. And as I was sitting on the sidewalk with a bunch of kids around me, and I look up and I see Elliot the Dragon from Pete's Dragon. But I absolutely did not recognize the guy on top who was waving around introducing Elliot. And I found it kind of funny because Elliot, Pete himself is also difficult to remember. After all, more people remember the dragon than the actual kid. So I guess they can just put any clothes on any adult and claim he's Pete. Kind of sad, but this is where we are today. Not a lot of people remember this movie. It didn't do really well when it came out, considering it was like around the same time as Star Wars. And a lot of people were kind of distancing themselves from musicals. This is supposedly the movie that made Don Bluth leave the company. But when I was younger, and me and my sisters, we would often be babysat by the neighbor next door. I remember watching this movie over there, and I loved it. This was a very touching movie to me. It was very fun. Um, and I think people need to give this movie more credit. Here we have this orphan boy with a dragon nobody can see. There are people who want to make him into a slave. He's all by himself. He has no parents. He has no family. He finds refuge in a complete stranger. And all the while, he has almost an imaginary friend. And I think that's really, really dark for a kid's film. It works. It's dark too. And I thought, it could have been easily been so much more depressing, but the kid is upbeat and the dragon's pretty hilarious. There are rumors that originally Elliot the Dragon was never going to be seen, just to mess with our heads a little. And though I think that would have been interesting, I think it would have made the story a little harder to tell. So I'm glad they did, choose to show him. And I like the design of Pete. I'm sorry, Elliot. This won't have to review. Anyway, I like the design of Elliot. He has soft colors. He has a very soft and warm design. He's not really intimidating. He's kind of like something we hadn't seen before in dragons, because usually when you think of dragons, you think of claws and teeth and scary things. Like Maleficent. But this was a dragon who, right from the get-go, when you saw him, you could trust him and you could like him, and he was friendly. And, he didn't mean to get Pete in trouble, but most of his actions, just were trying to save or help Pete. And it really spoke to a lot of children about imaginary friends and the power they had. The power of imagination, of comfort you can't find in other people around you. But it also spoke of growing up, and that eventually you need to put away your imaginary friends and, develop real friends and a real family in flesh and blood. So, yeah, I can admit to when I was a kid, probably bawling my eyes out during the ending when they have to leave. It was very touching. I like the music. I always thought it was kind of catchy. Yeah, the animation could have used some work, I admit. But you have to understand for this time, this was kind of, not really unusual to do. This was live action and cartoon bound into one. It wasn't the first time this kind of thing had happened. And it just wasn't a process that was perfected yet, as it would be in the Who Framed Roger Rabbit. But they were getting close. They were getting very close. So it's still interesting to see how far they came all the way back then, compared to all the way we are now. I kind of wish Elliot would make more appearances, and I'm not sure, but whenever Disney has those kind of mega crossover kind of things, I kind of wish he would pop up every now and then, because even though Elliot doesn't speak, he's a very expressive character. And as I mentioned in my Chicken Little review, I really find it interesting when you can make a character that doesn't speak, but does volumes through your actions. To me, those are fascinating characters. As someone, for me, I find it difficult to speak often because I kind of speak too fast. Sometimes I stammer. It's a bit of a problem. I even have speech. I don't want to say I have a speech impediment because I don't want to demean anything or say I have problems compared to people who actually do have problems. But I did have kind of like a speaking coach when I was much, much, much younger. So I can understand and I appreciate when characters are made without a voice. They work for the voice. They motion for it. And I appreciate that, and I like it, and I really liked Elliot for it because I felt this was someone you could talk to, and even though he never said a word, you knew he was understanding you. You knew he felt sympathy, and you knew he would help. This was kind of, again, this was like what imaginary friends were supposed to do. Imaginary friends couldn't actually respond to you, but in your head, they were giving you the responses you needed. So I think the whole movie was a fantastic metaphor for imaginary friends and for growing up. So I really hope that the older generation shows the younger generation this movie, and the generation of now, if they haven't seen it, they should, because this is a huge staple in the Disney canon, and I feel it was very important. I think it's a very important movie overall. I can understand why it didn't do so well. I can admit not all the songs are great. I can admit sometimes it can get a little hokey for its time. But as always, I think it's worth a look at. Just so you can make your own opinion of it. My opinion is it's still a good movie. Not a great movie, but a good movie. Something to make you think, maybe cry a little, or just have a good time and relax. Because, it's Disney. You're bound to relax. So, yeah, I enjoyed Pete's Dragon then and now. And I hope you enjoy it now and then. I guess there's nothing really Disney can do in regards to a movie that isn't popular yet. For they still need to make money. It's still a company, which is disappointing, yes, but sometimes that's just the way things work. Regardless, I still enjoy this movie and I still recommend it. And I feel like I'm gonna watch it again now.